Welcome back to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. I'm CarrieVee, your biggest fan, and we are talking all things communication and leadership. And we're diving in today in what are you truly communicating? Our words are a piece of communication. They're a big piece. The words we say matter. But today we're going to focus on our body language and what our body language is actually saying about how we communicate. I am big on face-to-face communication or even talking on the phone, hearing each other's voices. I think texting, that's a podcast for a whole nother time. Texting can communicate things that we don't want to communicate, even if we don't mean to communicate them. So we're going to save that for another time. Today, we're talking about what we are truly communicating with the body language we are displaying. We can display a positive body language or we can display a negative. So have you ever been in a situation where maybe you're watching two other people communicate with each other, and one of them is sitting back with their arms crossed, looking down, not meeting anyone in the eye, and the other person is trying desperately to communicate with that person, but the other person is completely closed off. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? It makes you feel like you want to just disappear, especially if the person who is closed off, the person who has their arms crossed and is just giving a very negative vibe, is someone that you know, and you know that they're giving off these negative vibes. And you can see the person that they're talking to getting very, very uncomfortable. It becomes uncomfortable for everyone in the room. And yet so many people, I'll say so many of us, because we've all fallen into it at some point in our lives, we give off a wrong impression or a negative impression. I'll say it that we give off a negative impression when we are communicating with someone else. Some of those negative communication pieces can be, like I said earlier, crossing your arms, sitting back, looking down, scratching your head, scratching your face, frowning, looking past a person, or looking at something in the distance. I can remember years ago, I was a young adult, young mother, and there was someone that I really looked up to as a mentor in my life. And I really respected this person from afar. And one day I finally got up the courage to go and stand in a hallway. It was in a church. I got up the courage to go and talk to her. And I was so excited about this conversation because it took weeks, months for me to muster up the courage to go and talk to this person face to face. My communication style was open. I was smiling. I was so happy. But this person I had viewed afar as a mentor, looked past me. She was saying words, and the words, I guess, were directed at me, but she was looking off in the distance. She was looking past me as if she was looking for someone more important or more interesting to talk to than me. But I was asking her some very important questions, at least in my mind, about raising my very young children. And this mentor was someone who had raised kids. She was ahead of me, and she had raised very nice kids that I enjoyed being around. And I just wanted her input and her opinion. But even though she stopped and she kind of made pretend that she was talking to me, her body language said very clearly that I was not important to her and she was not going to spend that time talking to me. She was looking way past me, way over my shoulder, way into the distance. And as soon as she saw the person that she wanted to talk to or someone else that she wanted to talk to, she excused herself while I was mid-sentence and left. It devastated me because what her body language communicated to me was that I was not important. My questions were not important. I didn't matter. It was devastating. It took me a long time to get the courage to talk to someone else. Fortunately, I learned from that experience and I was able to judge situations better the next time and know that if someone wasn't paying attention to me, I wasn't going to continue on with the conversation. I learned how to read people. I did research. I got a lot of books on how to read people's body language so that I wouldn't be in that situation again. I was highly embarrassed. I didn't realize then that that was the person who should be embarrassed because she totally blew me off. I was embarrassed that I hadn't read the body language correctly. We can read body language. There are negative and there are positive. So negative body language is not looking people in the eye. It's looking down. It's looking downcast. It's crossing your arms. It's having a very closed stance. It's a very scowling face. Those are all negative body language. On the flip side, a positive body language is a smile. It's being open. It's leaning into the conversation. It's asking questions. Those are all positive things that we can bring to a conversation when we want to communicate. If you want true, open, credible, authentic communication, your body language must display and must show a positive interaction. And that means being open. It means bringing a smile. It means bringing eye contact. Those are all things that we can work on. The truth is this: we are all communicating something all the time. We see people, right? Have you ever driven down the road and you just kind of look in cars? You see people who are even with other people in the car, they're talking, but their face is dark or blank, or you can just see that the communication going on in that car is not a positive experience. Or you see someone resting at a stoplight and their face is just completely downcast or RBF, right? Resting, you know what face. We're all communicating with the way our face looks. It's something that I try to think about all the time. What does my face look like when I'm not really thinking anything? Or what does my face look like when no one's really talking to me? Or do I look approachable? I always want to be approachable. I consider myself an approachable person, but does my face always look like I want to be an approachable person? Does your face look like you want to be an approachable person? Does your face look like you want to have positive communication? Or does it look like, oh, I don't want to go talk to her today. I don't want to go talk to him today. Your body language is giving off vibes. Is it giving off a don't talk to me vibe? Is it giving off a I'm right and you're wrong vibe? What is your body language saying? Because your communication is going to be based on the body language that you display. You can be saying all the right words. You can be saying all the right things. But if your body language communicates a negative aspect, a negative stance, the communication will fall flat at best. And at worst, it's going to actually make your conversations and your relationships worse. What are you showing in your body language when it comes to communication? It's a huge piece of communication. We need to be credible. We need to be authentic. We need to be open, but our body needs to show that as well. If we have our arms crossed, we're closed. We're not open. If we're sitting back in a chair, kind of looking off into a distance, we're not open. We are closed. If we're frowning, if we're thinking about something else, if we're a million miles away, it's very closed off. Whether you're speaking or you're just there, your communication is negative. And the opposite is also true. If you are open, if you are sitting in an open stance, if you're smiling, if you're leaning into the conversation, you are showing an open communication style. Your credibility will rise. Your authenticness will rise. Everything rises when you show up open and ready for the communication. It doesn't mean that everything you're going to say is going to be positive. You may be giving feedback to someone who asked for feedback, and maybe there are things that they are going to improve on, but you can do that in a positive way. You can smile, you can be open, you can answer questions, you can work on those skills. Communication and connecting with people is a skill, and it can be developed. So with that in mind, I am facilitating a 6-week mastermind workshop on utilizing John Maxwell's The 16 Irrefutable Laws of Communication. I have put the link in the show notes, or you can message me and go to the show notes and grab my email and just message me the word communication, and I will send that to you. We have early bird enrollment right now where I am doing $100 off your enrollment. You are going to receive a book, you are going to receive a workbook, and you're going to receive a communication disc impact report with a debrief from me. This is a cool deal, and you want to hop on it because somewhere in my mind, I priced this thing super low, and I will not price it this low again. So you want to jump on this, grab the link in the show notes, and get enrolled today. We kick off on February the 22nd. 25th or 26th, whatever that Monday is. And we start at 6:30 at night. Now, if you can't make it Eastern, if you can't make it live, they're all recorded and sent out to you the very next day. So you won't miss anything. And you're still going to get that DISC impact report on communication, which is your communication style and how to best show up and communicate in your communication style. We all have different styles. And when you get to know what yours is and how to best use it to make the best impact in your communication. And that is all part of this mastermind workshop. I cannot wait to see you in there. Your journal prompt today: how do I communicate and could I be better? How do I communicate and could I be better? And here's the hint: we can all be better all the time. It's why we're doing this mastermind, and I can't wait to see you in there. I am CarrieVee, your biggest fan, learning how to communicate with you, because everything, John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on leadership, but everything in leadership rises and falls on communication. So let's learn to communicate together, shall we? I'll see you inside the mastermind. Bye.